Here's Wilson, and on the right circle, he scores!
Rebound loose, wild scramble in front, score! Ovechkin with a buzzer beater! It'll count!
And a hat trick tonight, number 21,
Spectacular! Braden Holtby!
Hello, welcome once again to the Power Play Point podcast. I am, as always, your host, the Blue Liner on Point, and with me back again from her vacation, her Thanksgiving excursion is
my
Miss
mini
Erin Hutz.
vacation.
Mini vacation, huh?
Never long enough at the beach, but yeah, just a mini vacation, but I'll take it. It was awesome.
Well, let's get into that. How was that?
It was really, really great. I'm honestly, I usually like the homebody when it comes to holiday travel because, well, no one wants to sit in traffic and it brings out the worst in everybody and makes everybody cranky. But we left Wednesday night, got to Ocean City, Jersey around 10:30, and then got up the next morning and I saw family and my cousin I haven't seen forever, and I was one of a handful of people on the beach, 52 degrees, and completely content. So I couldn't have been happier.
Completely content.
Totally complete. It was gorgeous out. There were so many surfers in the water, which for that area is very tough. It can get a lot of shore break, which is, if you don't know what you're doing, you could really hurt yourself, or it's flat. But this was absolutely gorgeous. So I couldn't have been happier. I was so grateful. I was on the beach the 3 days that we were there. My family thought I was nuts. But that's it. It was, how can you not love being next to the water? So yes, this little mermaid was happy.
Okay, well that sounds good. When you said,
and how was yours?
Well, not a whole lot happening. Just the traditional family dinner. The immediate family, and there was somebody, I won't say who, but who seems to want to try to give everybody a bad time every Thanksgiving, and this person was up to their old tricks again, and yeah, but fortunately they waited till just about everybody else had left to pull that, but it's to be expected, a little bit of cotton in the ears, little hard rock blasting, on the iPod, and
there you go. But
it
it wouldn't be a family holiday if there wasn't drama.
No, it would not, and not without.
I mean, really,
some sort of anything like that. And if anybody's curious, we're in our new digs again here in Glen Burnie. My beleaguered wife, Mrs. Blue Liner, is about 3 feet away, convalescing from a really bad cold, and is kind of casting dirty looks at me every now and again. So if you hear a cough every now and then, that'll be why.
You cough away, it's fine.
No big deal.
It's all good.
Anyway.
You know what? I'm sorry. I totally didn't. I forgot to tell you that we wound up playing. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but I could not stop laughing. We wound up playing that game where you put those mouth things, those mouth guards in your mouth. Have you seen this? And it keeps your lips, you can't put your lips together, and then you have to say things to your partner and they have to guess what you're saying.
That
I
gotta try. The last time I wore a mouth guard was when I was in college, and I was on my intramural floor hockey team. This is the last time I had a mouth guard. It was one of those things where you dipped it in boiling water, and then you let it cool for a second, then you stuck it in your mouth so it would mold.
Yeah, it was all gross. I know. I had one of those for soccer. No, it's more like when you're at the dentist and they're, say, doing, like, you look like like a horror movie. It's so, everyone looks so ridiculous. But there was like, I don't know, God, like 10 of us playing. And I was nominated, I guess, probably because I had a couple of cocktails. 'Tis the season. And you wind up saying these things that are really ridiculous, but things that are hard to say. So it was like, the mattress fell off the truck. So you can only imagine how that comes out. And yes, I was nominated as the most entertaining of my family members because I guess I could say everything very matter-of-factly, even though it was total BS. But I highly recommend the game. It's awesome. It's a good time. It's very fun.
I thought we were kind of sort of playing something like that before when you said you were completely content. I thought you were about to say completely something else since you were on a beach. But I'll leave that to everybody else's imagination.
Jeez. We'll discuss that later.
Yeah, we will, I'm sure. And I'll get a talking to later, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure. And then now that Mrs. Blue Liner's there, she's going to back me up.
Yeah.
But anyways, moving
I'm
on
sure
to our kick-ass boys.
Yeah, let's let's drop the puck and get into the hockey. I kind of glossed over the events of 2 weeks before on the Western road trip in the last mini show that I broadcast. By the way, hope you all enjoyed that. It was for the folks that couldn't catch the Sports on the Hill podcast when it went live and didn't get a chance to get to the recording. So Robbie and Carol were nice enough to let me post my segment. So I hope everybody who listened enjoyed that.
It was good.
Yeah.
It was really good.
Yeah, and understand you and Carol have had a bit of a dialogue. I saw that in Facebook.
We have.
Sharing a favorite player. I see.
We have a favorite player, but I'm just not a big basketball fan, but I can hold my own in football and baseball and whatnot. So I like talking to him. He's great. And now that I've seen he's on Instagram too, and his posts are hilarious.
Yep.
So
CP3,
we have a very
he is one entertaining dude, and he loves him some NFL action. So
yeah.
And you check him out. In fact, they're broadcasting tonight in a few hours. By the way, it's Monday the 27th, November the 27th, as we're recording this. I forgot my greeting. Hello, fans out there in the Commonwealth of Virginia, the state of Maryland, and the District of Columbia, of course, and other Caps fans all around the world. Glad you're listening. Hope those of you, our American listeners, had a good Thanksgiving. So now with that out of the way, let's finally get into some Caps hockey. So let's see. As I was saying, I was going over some of the stuff that happened 2 weeks ago on the quick little Western road trip. So when we last left you, they were playing the schedule was Nashville and Colorado, and both games were absolute stinkers of an effort.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, the one thing I saw that really discouraged me. So I went through the recap. I didn't get a chance to see the whole game, but I went through the recap. Now, Colorado jumped out in their game. They jumped out to a 2-0 lead, and then I reviewed the game and I watched the third goal, the replay of the third goal scored by Colin Wilson, and that was the one that when I saw it, I was like, what is this team doing?
Yeah.
And so I'm playing it now.
They did not look good.
Yeah, I'm playing it now replaying it now on the NHL app. And poor Groovy got hung out to dry again. This was another game he got hung out to dry. So I'm watching the replay now. And so, okay, so it's the live action. Okay, so he basically he picks up the puck. Wilson does, not our Wilson, but basically beats three guys by bouncing it off the half boards, passing it, and then getting it back.
Mm-hmm.
And the three guys he beat, unfortunately, our Tom Wilson, one of them, Nathan Walker, and Dmitry Orlov were
Right.
all on the ice for that goal. And they all three of them let themselves get beat. And
Right.
the more I watched it, the more disgusted I got. And the more I started to think, okay, well, maybe there's a reason Nathan Walker is not getting into as many games as he ought to be, or as we thought
Right.
we ought to be, thought he ought to be. So, but it's just, that was just one example out of many where they just looked defeated. They didn't show any effort, and I don't know what it was.
Yeah, I'll agree. I mean, I think I even sent you a text message during the game with an endless amount of F-bombs, I'm sure.
I'm sure you did. Now I'm pretty.
And
I recall that.
But the terrible thing was, as I'm watching this game, I'm thinking to myself, are you freaking kidding me? Like, the Preds, that's all of a sudden the team to watch now. They looked amazing, and our team looked like...
Oh, no!
So...
Well, they're for real. The Predators are for real. There's no doubt about that.
It was like, just watching them, it was like, well, okay, there's a team that could go all the way, because I don't know where Washington was that night. But I think, it was awful. I felt bad for Grubauer. I'm not sure what to say about Nathan Walker. I felt like I was singing his praises in the beginning, and then it's teetered. I don't ever throw anybody under the bus. But he's what I want to see him do is what I've seen Vrana do recently, which is, kind of come out to play, not quite sure, not quite ready NHL hockey-wise, and then his confidence level went up. He started scoring, and his goals recently have been amazing to watch, and his speed is sick. So I feel like he's one that I'm like, okay, he's consistent. Walker, I don't know if we, couple more games and then what? I don't know what to say about him, but I'd like to praise him more, but I just can't. And after watching that, what you're talking about, it was just another WTF moment.
Yeah. No, Walker doesn't even have to score to be effective. He just has to
Correct.
Keep his end clean, be responsible in his own end, just go hard on the forecheck. I don't care if he doesn't score every game, doesn't show up on the score sheet. I don't even care if he doesn't get into a fight or anything like that. I just want him to be a little bit, I don't know. He looked lost every time he was out there. And
well, that's what I'm saying is like you are, and we've talked about this, and that, nasty coach side of me comes out, and it's like, listen, you are one in, a couple 10,000 that have made the NHL. Now's not the time to doubt yourself and your skills. We obviously picked you for a plethora of reasons. Now do it. Now's not the time to shy away from something. And I agree with you. I don't need to see him in a fight. He's not a big guy. He's not gonna do much. If anything, it's gonna be kind of cringeworthy probably to watch. But I want to see him for the reasons that we got him. He's got the skills, he's got the speed. I just want his confidence to stay up, because I just keep seeing healthy scratch. It's like, but if you've got someone else who's playing in his position that is showing it, there you go. There's nothing you can do then.
Yeah.
So step up.
So, I mean, everybody that's filled in, Alex Chason, Tyler Grayovac is coming back. Chandler Stevenson, they've all
Done awesome.
done their part to earn their time on the ice. So, I loved him in the first few games he's played, but he's got to start showing me something because I don't know. I love the guy. I want to see him succeed, but seeing what I saw in that Colorado game, I mean, and I've said this before, it's kind of unfair that one or two mistakes and you're back on the bench again. But hopefully he takes it all to heart and learns from that.
Exactly.
So
exactly. So
but that was
that's
that was arguably the lowest point, I would say, in the last couple of weeks here, barring the loss to Calgary, which was 1 week ago at this time. That was another frustrating effort. I don't know. With all the talent this team has and the offense completely dried up, and you thought maybe they bounced back with that win against Minnesota 2 nights before, and again the offense dried up, and you wonder what happened. And so that was their third loss in 4 games, and that's when. So we're going to segue a bit topics while covering both at the same time because we still got 3 games to sort of kind of recap here. But that's about then is when the calls for Coach Barry Trotz's head started to get a little bit louder in Caps fandom because the losses were piling up. The decisions, the lineup decisions he was making with a lot of fans was going down about as smooth as gas station sushi to some, and just you imagine the disturbance, the gastric disturbance that'll cause times 1,000, and that's what you got.
Are you speaking from personal experience?
I may not be.
Okay, just checking.
RMNB in particular was particularly loud about what was going on and what ought to be happening. So as an example, and that's something we're going to discuss in a little bit here. But then things started to turn around after the loss to Calgary. They had 2 more games at home here. One of them was against the Ottawa Senators last Wednesday, and that's when your little buddy, who you just mentioned a little while ago, Jacob Vrana, started to come out. He opened the scoring in that game with his 5th of the year. Kuznetsov and Oshie on the assists.
Yep.
And then the captain scored to make it 2-0. Kuznetsov got the 3rd goal, which would eventually be the game winner. And the Vrana comes back with the pizza goal.
Yep.
And overall, a pretty good game all around. For everybody. Only gave up 31 shots. Caps managed 25 shots. Power play, they only got 1 chance, but they converted. PK was superb. Shut down all 3 chances. Not as much. Not as much as we're used to, but still managed 8 minutes in penalties. And so that's another bone of contention with the team, and we'll kind of talk a little bit more about that later as well. And then probably the best game they played all year, barring the Pittsburgh game. They come back Friday night, beat the number 1 team in the league, and that's the Lightning. Gave up the early goal, and they could have let down. But it was pretty good that they came back. The captain comes back with the tying goal, and then Devontae Smith-Pelly comes in past the halfway mark of the second and gets his 3rd, and then Jay Beagle ices it with the empty netter. And so looking at the stats there, much better output, 38 shots total. 69% face-off win percentage.
Good.
Power play didn't do so well, 0 for 3, 1 for 2 out of 3 on the penalty kill. Only 6 minutes in penalties. They out-hit the Lightning, which is a good sign. And shot blocks were 25 total. That's a sign of a hard-working team there. And what wonderfully enough, Gruby got his first win as a result of the year, and that was of course great to see.
That his parents were visiting, and his birthday was the next day. And I've said this before, once he gets a win under his belt, I think he's just going to come out shining. I really, really think that. And it's the same thing. Jacob Brana, couldn't be happier for him. He's young, and, he just needed to come out and, show everybody what he's got, and he's done it consecutively and consistently. And I think he's good. Him and Tommy, I don't know, kind of the teacher's pets, teacher favorites.
Well, with good reason. Both of them have been playing exceptionally well lately. So
yes.
One creates havoc in front of the net, and the other goes to the net and makes things happen.
Right.
On that end as well, on the score sheet too. So that I can see why. So that's fine. That they're doing a fine effort there. Now, of course, the most recent game was this past Saturday against the Leafs at the Air Canada Centre. Not going to talk about that right off just yet, and there's a reason for that. We'll get to that towards the end of the show. So that's the week and a half or so that was. So we're looking at the last 7 games total. They're riding a 3-game win streak now, but it didn't look so good as they were entering the week on a 1-3 slide, kind of. And well, not kind of, but they were 1-3 up until last Wednesday. But I mean, I'm guardedly optimistic because every time I think they righted the ship, they kind of slip back a little bit. So the thing of it is, it's lack of desire, lack of heart, just complete and total not the right attitude towards some of these games, I think. And a lot of it was being put on the coach. And so we're finally going to segue into our main topic for this episode. And that's something I mentioned earlier, was the calls for Coach Trotz being fired.
Which I don't agree with.
Well, you didn't agree with it, but you would have been in the minority, at least as of last week. Now, I started this dialogue with you with a text earlier in the week, and I'm going to tell you what started that. And
okay.
that was, so last Tuesday, I'm looking over, it's my one day off, so I actually have time to sit down and not have people ask me to do things all day long. So I had time to sit down and look over some recent tweets. And one of the people I follow that's got their finger on the pulse of the team is the Washington Post Caps beat writer, Isabel Kershudian. And she put out a tweet that said, well, look, I asked Coach Barry Trotz why Ovechkin and Backstrom had not been on the same line. And had he thought about putting them back together? And he said yes. And then I asked him, why not put them back together now? And his answer was, just don't feel like it. And so I read that, and I was like, oh my goodness, there is somebody who doesn't care about doing his job anymore. There's somebody who knows his job's on the line, and he knows he's going to get fired any day, and he's just thrown in the towel. That's what I thought. I'll admit, that's what I thought when I read that.
Okay.
That's when I texted you, said, okay, look out for this team's changes are going to come.
Right.
And because, I mean, now I know why, but because you weren't thinking he wasn't deserving of that, that's not the first thing that came to your mind. You thought
No.
maybe, oh God, who's being traded? Who are we getting rid of now?
Right. And I thought Grubauer.
Yeah, and that may still happen, by the way.
Right.
But
Right.
no, that's what I was getting at was okay, this team may have finally quit on him, and he's quit on himself. He's quit on the team.
See, I don't know. I see it completely different, and I don't agree with you.
Well, before I know what you're going to say, and I'm going to set up your comment here, because on top of all that, what was his pregame press conference before he reunited Ovechkin and Backstrom was before the Ottawa game, and you saw what happened there. And I listened to that, and I was like, okay, well, this convinces me. He's just, I don't know, he's just not into his job anymore. And then you see the results, and then the spark from the team. They look like a brand new team.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, so I said, all right, well, let's see how they do next game. And they came out and played very well there also. And that's when I tweeted you, and I said, well, it looked like this isn't what I actually said, but it looked like, Trotz was saying one thing and doing another, and so it looks like we got played as far as that goes. And you said something.
I have no idea.
Well, you said something along the lines of, yeah, we all totally got played.
Oh yeah. Well, here's the thing: you're a coach of an NHL team. You're a coach of any major franchise team, and you have media or fans that think they know more than you do. And so you're getting out there, you're being interviewed on, well, how come your team's not doing better? How come they're not scoring? How come you're not doing this? And at some point, you kind of do have to get tired of hearing it. But you go through the motions, you answer the questions. So for Isabel or whatever her name is to say, so why aren't you doing this? Because I don't feel like it. I don't think it has anything to do with him giving up on the team. I think he's probably like, listen, why do I care what you think? I'm getting this question a lot. I know my team better than you do. So, enough's enough. And then also, why would he say, oh my God, you know what? You're right. Come to my office and tell me how I'm going to change up the line, because I'm going to listen to your opinion. He probably already had it in his head. He's not going to come out and say, oh, hey, secret weapon, guess what? We're putting these two back on, top line together. He's not going to do it. He's just, whatever. So what I can't stand is in any team when all of a sudden they're not doing well, it's the coaches that are on the chopping block. Well, the team needs to get a little ass kicking too. And they need to step up and do what they're supposed to do. And you can't always say it's the coach that's letting the team down. Yes, the coach is to be motivating. And yes, they're supposed to be hard and whatever else, which I think Barry Trotz has been. He's not a rookie coach. So I call Backstrom on the fact that people are just want to toss in. Who are you going to put in there? That's my other thing. If you're going to say something like, hey, you know what? So-and-so is better or whatever. Okay, you know what? Yeah, maybe that person is a little bit more animated or more passionate, but there isn't anybody that I'm seeing, and I don't want to see some stranger come in, because I do think Trotz believes in the Caps, and I think he's whether he caught him on an off day or not, you think he doesn't know, the team's losing and reading about it in the papers. So I don't know. I'm behind him 100%. I think he knows what he's doing, and I don't think he had to listen to anybody in the social media or, the fans' opinion to say, oh, you're right. Like 8,000 people retweeting that I should change the line. Maybe I should listen to him. He knows what he's doing.
Okay, so this is why I kind of wanted to get into this with you, because I know you coach youth swimming, but the mentality you said, why is it always the coach that's being blamed? Because I understand why management feels like they have to make that decision, because it's always, as they say, it's always easier to fire one person than it is to fire 25. So that's why.
Correct.
That's why they, that it's not so much blame the coach, it's do something with the team to get things going again. So that's why that mentality. But I wanted to bring this up with you, especially because I as I said, I know you coach youth swimming. So from that perspective, what do you think might have been what went wrong in that? I mean, the team just looked bad. It wasn't that they were losing; they looked really bad doing it. So
I agree.
From your perspective, your experience, you see your charges not doing what they're supposed to do, even though you've drilled them over and over again. I mean, what do you think? What do you attribute that to?
But I honestly think it, and I hate to say it, I think a lot of it has to do with the media. When the Caps are winning, everyone's a Caps fan, and we couldn't be happier, and everything's amazing. And as soon as we lose a game, it's like, Ovechkin's too old. We should get rid of so-and-so. Why'd we sign this person for so long? Why'd we do, Grubauer this and whatever else? For the length of the season, no one is going to go, winning every single game. It's not possible. You're going to lose games. What you have to do as a coach is to realize that when the players, or the athletes or whatever are feeling defeated, unfortunately, it is contagious. You are feeling like, your captain's feeling like
fake, skate, fake.
And then the rest of them are kind of picking up on that. But from a coach's perspective, you also have to know that being positive is just as contagious. So he needed to maybe just step back and say, listen, you guys have it in you. You need to, not listen to the media, not listen to this stuff, because you have it. Look at your skill level, look at your, chemistry, the consistency, the this and that we've gone over and over again. And they just needed reminders. Whatever Trotz said to them for the last couple of games worked. Is it going to continue to, for them to be undefeated the rest of the season? Absolutely not. But I still feel like he's standing by his team. I don't think he's giving up on them. What he says behind closed doors, he obviously did rip into them. Because, sometimes you do have to get in there and say, hey, listen, here's what I expect from you, and here's what I'm getting from you. Now step it up, or you're going to be sitting out as a healthy scratch. And I guess I've always thought of the most frustrating thing about sports when you have players, football, basketball, baseball, whatever, who don't look like they're giving it 100%, rather than putting the coach on the chopping block and blaming him, who's not even part of the game on ice or on the field or whatever else. You start taking away some of the players' salaries. If they had to get paid on an effort per game, and you wanted it to be consistent, you would see your players out there across the board giving 100%. Because if they're not going to get paid. Some of these players could be like, hey, listen, I'm getting, $16 million, whether I tackle or score or not. So, and those are the players and the athletes I don't admire. But I'm saying, if you're going to shake things up a little bit, why not shake it up financially against the players and leave the coaches out of it?
Well, that's kind of funny that you say that, because that suggestion reminds me of the old Baltimore Colts team that I read about. I'm a big sports history buff, in case nobody, especially hockey, but also other sports as well. But in case nobody's figured that out yet, if you know me. But the old Baltimore Colts, the great teams in the 50s and 60s, they were owned by a guy named Carroll Rosenblum, who was, of course, a big fan of the team, and he watched games intently. And what he liked to do was give $5 fines for stupid mistakes on the field, but he would fine himself along with the team, and it would go into a pot to benefit the players at the end of the year. But yeah, that's what that kind of reminded me of. Now, of course, you probably couldn't get away with anything like that nowadays. But
Of course you can't, because they all have agents, and they all have these, ridiculous contracts. It's like, you can't say this and do this, whatever. I'm just saying that if you watch a Super Bowl, okay, and you know that there is a bonus in scoring a touchdown, fumbles, punt return, whatever it is, there's a bonus for these players. And all of a sudden you're going to see like the guy who's just been, he's been good during the season, but holy crap, there's this incentive. So I don't think I'm not saying that, that finances and monetary is the incentive for necessarily the Caps players. But what I'm saying is I can't stand when the coaches are the first to go, when the players have to take blame, but there's really no consequence for them. They're getting paid regardless. So what do you, if you did say, hey, listen, I'm knocking such and such off if I don't think your effort's there, and donate it to a charity or something, or do something to it. But it's like, hold them accountable. And I feel like the Caps team is done hearing about not having a cup. I think they're done hearing about it from the media. I think they're done hearing about the Washington, D.C. Sports curse. And they want to do what they can. But unfortunately, we do really well, and everyone's on board, and we, play really
fake, skate, fake.
And everyone's ready to say, okay, well, this season's done. And we're like nowhere near halfway through. So I feel like, you may have just told them, don't even look at social media. Don't even read the newspapers. We're here to do it. And all you care about are the guys, on the ice with you at that moment. And that's that.
Okay. And I get that. So I know, like I said, I know you have coaching experience. So I wanted to get your perspective on what it is that, you kind of have to deal with, as far as, getting the people you're in charge of to do what they're supposed to do. Because, like I said, my problem with 2 weeks ago was not just that they were losing, but how they were losing. They were listless. They were just awful. And
yes,
awful as far as not only result, but in effort. And it just, I don't know.
And you felt like he kind of gave up. But here's the thing, though. Don't you think that if, as a coach, and even if he's not social media and watching the interviews and reading the post or whatever else, that he is out there in practice, and I've seen him at Kettler and whatever else, and he's involved in everything, that he's not equally as frustrated?
Of course.
So to like, so here's a coach who's like, listen, I am training you guys. I am supporting you guys. I'm doing everything I can. And you're not giving me in return. So I'm annoyed too. And good. Because if he came out all jovial and whatever, and they got their ass handed to him the last couple of games, I'd be like, okay, what's going on with Barry?
He'd look like a bit of an idiot, at least.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, I always feel like, hey, cut him some slack. He's not going to come out and be pissed at his players, but,
When I saw that, the turnaround, and that, what had happened, and it clicked. It looked like, okay, I get it now. He knew what was wrong all along. He wasn't going to overplay his hand with the media, and he was maybe it was even all an act, even that he was giving up. But if it was an act, he certainly had us all fooled, and that's why I sent that tweet to you. Well, looks like we all got played, and you were like, yeah, we all got played.
Yeah, it could, but
you don't coach in the NHL for 20 years and not know things, not know how to handle things as they come up.
Exactly. Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, and that's what I'm saying. He knew he was going to get asked this question, and he probably was asked it at least, maybe 20 times that day alone, that it was like, listen, okay, I get it. But what killed me was the people who were tweeting the I told you so's. See, I said they should be back on the first line, and now they're winning. Really? Well, we also lost some players, and, Burakovsky's out, and, we had to kind of move things around. So as a coach, you are giving other players an opportunity to prove themselves. Smith Pelly worked with one and not so much the next time, and then it was good, and then it was bad. Same thing with Wilson. That is what the coach is doing, what is best for the team. It has nothing to do with what the fans think. And it would be like if I was swimming and the boy I was coaching, kept doing terrible and his times weren't getting better. For the parents to say, you know what, you as a coach suck and I want you out of here. It's not on me all the time. If I'm providing the, insight and giving the workout and, doing everything right, you got to put a little bit on the swimmer to say, listen, I'm not sure what's going on, what's in your head, but you need to get out of it and get your stuff together, or you're not going to qualify for blah, blah, blah. So, I don't know. I just, I had a good laugh and over holiday just looking at the people who seem to know it all and the I told you so's. Barry knew what he was doing all along. So, that's that.
Yeah,
so
no, I said... And I keep pointing it out.
They got played. I know.
What I was going to mention was I keep pointing out my appearance on Sports on the Hill, and I said then, look, because the guys were talking about, they mentioned it earlier just before I came on, that there had been some shouts from social media or wherever. Hey, it might be time for Trotz to go. And I'm pretty sure it was CP3 who said, that's premature. We're only 15 games in here. We knew this team was going to be different. And
exactly.
And I echoed that. I said, hey, look, some of the tools out of the box were taken and never to return again. Okay? And we lost something, what was it, like 65 goals. That were scored, but somebody in the True Caps fans group, I think it was Stephen Levesque, a brother of Christian, he's an admin there also, pointed this out. Vrana himself, by himself, now has as many goals as Marcus Johansson, Carl Alsner, Justin Williams, and Nate Schmidt this year combined. Vrana by himself has as many goals as those guys. So, I mean, you want to hang your hat on something, you want to be positive about something, it's that. So, you talked about Dmitry Orlov, I think it was 2 weeks ago. His game's starting to come back. He's starting to bounce back. Now we're seeing it from Vrana. And
well, I'm not
call me ignorant if you want. Call me stupid if you want. But I'm not gonna kill my optimism for this team. Yeah, they look like dog crap 2 weeks ago. I totally agree. I saw the replays. I saw the goals. But every team, even good teams, go through rough patches. This year's going to be a lot more of it. I think. Look, when it comes down to it, I think Caps fans are pretty spoiled. I mean, I don't want to be down on my own group, my own people, but we Caps fans are pretty spoiled because we've had 2 straight years, 3 years now of 100-point seasons plus or more, or close to it at least. And I think that's what this fan base is used to. And look, it's not going to be that way this year. There's going to be some games where they just look like what Rover left on the sidewalk. And that's
I
to be
don't know.
expected.
I don't agree. I don't see the Caps fans as spoiled. I would never have
use that word to describe them. I think they are frustrated. And I think that they are, I'm trying to think of, I'm just
I don't want to interrupt your thought. I don't want to interrupt your thought here, but I mean, I think spoiled is the perfect word, because you're gonna get this upset and call for the coach's head after 2 losses.
Right, but I don't think that has anything to do with being spoiled. I think that's frustration. That's from watching 2 amazing seasons and not making it to the Stanley Cup back to back when we should have. And then we all have to sit back and be like, you effing Penguins, and go through that again. That's not spoiled. These, to me, I feel like the Caps fans are frustrated and they're just looking for a solution. And so
okay.
I would think spoiled would be like the Pens fans who are kind of sitting back like, hey, we've got this. We've got, back-to-back cup wins, or, this and that, and look at us and we're amazing. And so we lose a little bit. We're going to come back because that's who we are.
Well,
to me sounds more spoiled.
Well, so it's funny.
Entitled.
It's funny you should mention that team and others. So we're going to segue out here and give a little bit of info here. That being the Metropolitan Division standings as of right now.
Right.
Okay. So
I know what you're going to say.
Well, what am I going to say?
I know that you're going to tell me what the record is, and that the Penguins aren't doing as great as everyone thought that they would be doing. That's not my point.
Okay.
That's not what.
So all right, fine. But before I get into the standings, tell me, what is your point then?
Feisty tonight.
That's the idea.
I know, but what I'm saying.
I love this. We're both dropping the gloves.
Yeah, we are, because now you're putting me in. Yeah, we are. I don't think the fans are spoiled. They're frustrated. There's a difference. They want to see their team win, and they want to see their team get to the cup. Being spoiled or being entitled are fans of Penguins and whatnot who have won the cup numerous times and feel like, hey, you know what? We've done it before, and we may have an off year, but it's all good.
Okay, so it's worth about the cost of Grandma's ashtray, but winning the President's Trophy is something. It's something to be spoiled about. It's something
it's
they
not
have
the
won.
Stanley Cup.
I get
that's
that.
What our team
I get
wants.
that. But as far as the regular season goes, I think a lot of our fan base is spoiled. They expect to win every single game 6-1. They expect to see Alex Ovechkin get a hat trick every other game at least, which he's doing now. And not even that's making a lot of them happy. They still want to see the coach fired. They still want to see changes. They're still screaming about all the players we lost. Only now it's getting louder with each loss, and I get the frustration. I just don't get this feeling like, well, why aren't they winning like they were? Because the damn roster has changed. Because
right, that is
different.
No, I agree with you on that. The roster's changed, and we need to kind of cut the losses with the. If I hear one more thing about Nate Schmidt, I think I'm gonna pull my hair out. Okay, it's like, listen. And again, and I've said it before, was he a good player? Yes. Was he an absolute, darling off ice with we've talked about the infectious smile and the laugh and an all-around good guy? Yes, that's what people miss. That's what people miss, not him on the ice.
Quick impression of Nate Schmidt, by the way. You know
SpongeBob.
why we always win at home? Because in Vegas, the house always wins.
Oh.
No, that was true. He was actually asked that, and that was his answer. It was like 2-3 weeks ago at a press conference.
Doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
But that's just it. I never.
Mrs. Blue Liner shaking her head at me, by the way.
Right, I am too. I had an eye roll there. So, God. Anyways, so now we are going to agree to disagree. And the President's Trophy, is it something that should be acknowledged and admired? Of course. I'm not taking that away. We want to go a step further.
I'm not taking it away either. I'm just saying
But it doesn't.
It could be a
it's
reason.
Acknowledged.
It's a reason why a lot. I'm not saying everybody, okay, but okay. So this is what I'm getting at when I say a lot of the fan base is spoiled. The RMNB blog, okay, they look. Brooks Orpik is, I get it, is not everybody's favorite player. He's certainly not mine, but he's not the pariah. He's not the single biggest cause of why the team plays horribly sometimes. He does work his patootie off every game. You look at how many block shots, the number of block shots man per man, and he's at the top. Or if he's not at the top, he's damn close. So you cannot question his effort. Yeah, is he 2 steps slower than he was, say, 6 years ago? Of course. He wasn't fast to begin with. I get that. But nobody, I think, works harder on this team. And yet, I mean, the first thing that goes wrong, they want to point to him as if he's the single most cause. He's the one cause of all the Caps' woes. It's not. It's you lose as a team, you win as a team, and it's the fact that they don't show, for whatever reason, they don't show any effort, and nobody, the people that do the complaining, don't want to see that, or if they do see it, it's got to be a coaching issue, because these players making millions of dollars don't want to do their job. They don't want to earn their money. That's why I think they're spoiled.
If I had a ton of money and was, a gambling person, I mean, I do enjoy gambling, but like high stake. I will tell you right now, had we gone into the season without Alex Ovechkin, say the game that we're at right now, maybe he has 2 goals. Everyone would be throwing him under the bus. Too old. We should have traded him. He's this. He's done. He's whatever. The fans are always going to pick the one person that they can just put blame on, whether it's, but now Ovechkin's doing amazing and everyone's like, the grade 8. Right. Well,
although there's fans, there's hockey fans, non-Caps fans that still think Ovechkin is the number one problem with this team, and so on and so on. We'll get to that a little bit later.
Those guys are a bunch of douchebags anyway, so
well, that kind of goes without saying.
Right.
We won't name said douchebags, but
they know who they are.
They know who they are. But yeah, okay, fine. Agree to disagree. We drop the gloves on our way to our respective penalty boxes here. I get, you say frustrated, I say slightly spoiled and frustrated.
You didn't? No, you never said slightly.
Okay, completely spoiled and frustrated.
There you go. Okay, I'll take that.
Fine.
As I skate to my sin bin.
Fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, don't swing your stick at the penalty timekeeper either while you do that. Okay, so before that little dust up, what I was going to do was read off the Metro Division standings as of today, before tonight's action. So at the top sit the New Jersey Devils with 23 games played, a record of 14-5-4, 32 points. Then right behind them are the Columbus Blue Jackets, same amount of games played, one more win, but one less point, so 15-7-1 for them. And right behind them, sitting in the last available guaranteed playoff spot, are the New York Islanders at 23 games played, also 14-7-2, 30 points. And so in the next available spot, which is the wild card spot, and let's see, I'm going to give a quick peek at the Atlantic. Okay, which they easily have by several points over the next best team in that division. Sit our Washington Capitals, 25 games played, so everybody's got one or two games in hand on them. 14-10-1 for 29 points. So 1 point behind the guaranteed third spot. This is what I was talking about, ladies and gentlemen, at the beginning of the year. It's called parity. It's called every stinking point matters. So you can't let down even for one game, because that's even if you get to overtime, even if you get the loser point, that's a point you put in the bank that come April you're probably going to need. And that's what I'm talking about. So to continue, right behind them, New York Rangers, 24 games played, 13-9-2, 28 points, 1 point behind the Capitals. And 1 point behind them are, guess who? That team from that city.
Right.
With the logo of a bird that can't friggin' fly. 25 games played, 12-10-3, 27 points. So 1 point behind the Rangers. And then right behind them, well, not right behind, but they might as well be, because they've got 2-3 games at hand on everybody, are the Carolina Hurricanes. And they're at 10-8-4, 24 points. So had they played 1 or 2 more games like everybody else has, they probably would be, well, they'd be within striking distance, if not tied with that other team I just mentioned. And bottom of the heap are the Philadelphia Flyers, 23 games played. The only Metro team below 500, 8-9-6. I think they've lost like 6 straight. Last I heard, they're in something of a tailspin lately. They're just awful. I don't know what it is with that team, but 8-9-6, 22 points for the year. And speaking of that team, minus 17 goal differential. What the hell?
I know.
That's not. Yeah, you won everything last year. What happened? Not that I care, but I just hope it's a trend that continues.
I agree too, but it's so early. I just can't get into that mindset.
Get it. We're at the quarter pole. I get it, but still, that's bad.
And I love it. I mean,
I love
finally,
it too. It's also a head scratcher though.
But it is. But I'm like, but you know what? It's too early to say anything and rule anybody out, which is why keep with your coach. Keep doing what you're supposed to do. Because I'm still kind of wondering what is going to happen to the Caps when Burakovsky comes back.
Good question. Good point. Very good point.
Because that's one of those things as a coach that you would have to say, here's, my number 65, like doing well. And then I think they had really high hopes for him this season. And you and I agreed in the beginning that he was doing okay. And then he got injured. And it's like, okay, well, you're always going to have, changing things up. We've got, some rookie players, some trade, whatever it is. And now you're getting this team together, consistency, chemistry, whatnot. And then you're going to bring him back in at some point. And that's where these guys have to understand that, he can come back and he's been training and everything else. And if they're not stepping up their game, well, hey, thanks for holding my spot in line. Now you can go back to the bench kind of thing. So I'm just wondering what's going to happen when he's feeling 100%.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see. And he's supposed to be due back in, 1 or 2 weeks, I think.
Yeah.
So, that's going to be very interesting to see indeed, because supposedly you get a little more punch back in the offense. So, yeah, and we definitely need more of that. And he's probably going to need at least 4 or 5 games to get back in actual game shape.
Right.
To be of any effect. So, probably.
But it'll just be interesting to see what happens. I mean, I like, we've put in certain players are just, they're clicking and it's good and you want to see that happen. But could he add something else to, I don't know. Like, I don't, like, I was just thinking about it today because I follow him on Instagram, and I know he's, shows pictures, videos and things here and there. And I'm like, man, really want to see him come back and kick ass and do something amazing for the team. But
okay, so from those pictures, does he look like he's kind of, champing at the bit to come back, or does he look like he's enjoying his time off? I mean, that
yes and no.
that tells you everything right there. If he really
there's a bunch of players I follow, and I see lots of them golfing, and spending time, with their families and whatever else. So it's sort of hard to tell. He's put up a couple of things where you can see he's still training, not on ice, but, in a gym or something. And then there's other times where, maybe he's on a golf course or he's doing something else and enjoying life as he should. So I don't think he's going to just assume he's coming back and going to be, the top guy, but I just like to see what happens when he comes back.
Okay, but at the same time, I want to see somebody with fire down below and want to get back in as quickly as they can. Because if he's that desperate to prove himself, he needs to show it.
Right, but if you're injured and they're telling you, hey, listen, you can't be on the ice he's been out for a long time.
I get that, but
he deserves to have a little fun.
It is a hand injury we're talking about.
Right, but think of all the things that you need your hand for.
Yeah, I know.
No, so for and you're talking about.
We won't talk about all of what you need your hand for, but yeah.
But yeah, well, we won't just not go there. I could, but I won't.
I wasn't going there. I'm just saying I'm not gonna talk about all of that.
Mm-hmm. But you were thinking it.
Maybe.
Anyways,
but thoughts don't translate on podcasts, thank God.
True.
Anyway.
Thank God. But no, I think he's gonna do fine. I don't think he's taking this as a vacation. I think when you're hockey's in your blood and it's what you know and what you've done your whole life. When you're not doing it, it sucks. So he's out, doing other things. If he was sitting at home being a bum and, losing muscle mass and whatnot, I'd be like,
okay,
it kind of sucks.
I get it. You're saying at least he's not wallowing and saying, woe is me, and,
Exactly.
Okay. I get it. I get that.
It's a hand injury.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. So I'll give him 4 or 5 games, and then I want to see somebody who wants to prove himself completely. So
I'll give you that.
And
I think you will.
Okay, so previews of coming attractions there. Okay, so speaking of which, before we move on to our next topic. See,
we have more topics?
Just a couple. You doing okay on time?
I'm fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I can hear my husband in the kitchen, so Lord knows what that means, but it's all good.
All right, so let's take a quick peek at the schedule. Okay, so as it happens,
the Kings.
We're in the midst of a 4-day lull, and the next game will not be until Thursday, as Anna
Correct.
Just said, against the Los Angeles Kings. 7 o'clock puck drop at Capital One. And that kicks off a 5-game homestand that goes all the way through next week. Next game after that is against the CBJ. Did you CBJ? No, officer, I didn't see a thing. At 7 o'clock again at Capital One Arena. And then next game after that is against the San Jose Sharks. Come to town, team I followed for many a year.
Me too.
Monday evening, another 7 o'clock puck drop.
That'd be fun.
That's gonna be a fun game to watch. That's gonna be another good measuring stick against.
They're just
a
classic.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've got I don't know. They've got cool play. They got Joe Wold.
I gotta love Joe.
Yeah,
Joe Ward.
Joel Ward comes back to town. Be good to see him again.
But they've got Joe Thornton and whatever else. So, anyways, I think that'll be a fun game to watch.
That's going to be a good game to watch. Yeah, I think so. Got Martin Jones in goal, one of the best in the league. So that's going to be good to watch. Okay, so after that, day off, and then another game Wednesday at home, 8 o'clock puck drop. I think this is an NBC game, actually. And this one's going to be against the Chicago Blackhawks. My good friend from work, whose name also happens to be Ian, by the way. It's his favorite team.
I like him already.
Yeah, that's his favorite team. And we actually went to a game last year, earlier this year, back in January, and they smoked them good. It was 6-0. I think they were having an off night, so kind of hoping for a repeat of that. 8 o'clock puck drop again at Capital One for that one, and then Friday.
Are you guys going?
No. I wish. But yeah, too busy, and not enough in the old checking account. Not yet, anyway. But we're hoping. And last of the homestand is Friday night against the New York Rangers. First against them this year. 7 o'clock puck drop there. And so that rounds out the next few games for the upcoming week and a half or so. And then we head towards kind of a mixed bag of opponents, but we'll get into that in later shows. And then we get to the Christmas break, and then other things. But not to get too ahead of ourselves, but that's the schedule ahead. A lot of good games to watch, and so going to be very interesting in the next somewhere around there. We expect Burakovsky to make his return, as we just discussed. So that'll be very interesting to watch. Okay, so going to move on to our next topic here, and so we're gonna. I won't lie, it's something of a bummer, so fans of the team that have been following the Caps for more than say 20 years will remember this player. But we're going to talk about, and it's kind of a bit of old news now because it actually came up like 3-4 days after 2 episodes ago. But the guy we're talking about is ex-Caps player Stephen Peat. And it came up that he was having all kinds of problems. So a little background on him, if you've never heard of him. He was in the 90s for 1 or 2 seasons, to be exact, the late 90s. He was actually the enforcer of the team. And back then, the enforcer's role was a little bit more prominent than it is today. This guy took it upon himself to take on all comers, literally. And he was out there. He was taking on guys that outweighed him by as much as 30, 40 pounds in some respects, and sometimes. And he was giving up that many pounds and several inches per fight. But he went after them. He did his job, and that was his thing. He wasn't a goal scorer. He wasn't a playmaker. That was his whole thing, to rile up the team and be a pest and be somebody that was tough to play against. And now we come to find out that he's had a lot of mental issues, and that it's attributed. Some would attribute it to the fact that he's obviously had a lot of head trauma, and due to his life as an enforcer, not only in the NHL but in the AHL as well. And it's a hard life when you have that role. And so basically the article came out in the New York Times that said he's having a hard time because his father basically came out. His father's been pretty much his I'm struggling for the word here. I don't want to say caregiver because
advocate.
Advocate. Watchman. I don't know, but Stephen Peat. It's not like he's an invalid or anything like that. He's functional, but basically the point of the story was things really came to a head about a year ago when he burned his father's house down as a result of an argument. So I hear. I don't know if that's the fact. Now, what actually happened was he was eventually charged with arson and pled guilty, even though he claimed the fire was an accident. And he said the reason he did that was to avoid the embarrassment of a long, drawn-out trial. So he figured he'd plead guilty and pay the fine, serve the time, whatever it was. I'll admit I don't have all of the facts on this, but that was just one example. And his father Walter, the New York Times published a bunch of tweets and emails or mostly emails that he sent out. Basically said, look, I can't take care of my son anymore. It's a danger. I'm putting myself in danger just by being with this person. I love my son, but because he's just so mentally unbalanced, I just can't help take care of him anymore. I can't do it, is what it came down to. So I wanted to bring this up, certainly not to bring everybody down, but to make everybody aware. I mean, this guy is a part of Cap's history, for better or for worse. So I just wanted to put that out there just to say, hey, look, Power Play Point podcast isn't going to shut out the bad, even though we're all about the good psychology. We're not going to shut out the bad. We're not going to turn a blind eye to this, type of situation either. And it also raises the bigger question, well, down the road, does hockey, big league hockey, eventually get rid of fighting? And there will be a day of reckoning when it comes to that. It may not be now, may not even be 2-3 years from now, but it's coming as to whether or not, the final answer to that question. And it may not be one that some fans like. So that's another reason I wanted to put the story out there, because that may be something we as fans have to deal with as well. And while I love fighting, I'll say this: if that's the only reason why you watch the games, we don't need you. Go watch go watch boxing, go watch UFC,
right.
Go watch something else. If you want to see a fight, you want to see just two men slugging it out, just watch that.
Right.
But
and I don't know if I want to say this is the same article, because I did see a good portion of it, read a good portion of it. Wasn't it also very frustrating to people who were related to him, because they would look at him and say, like, this isn't my son or my brother or whatever, because he was so angry, and it was like his whole personality changed. Is this the same?
So the experts, there are experts on concussion and head trauma that say that took a look at all this and said, look, he exhibits signs of having CTE, and that's
tragic.
That's basically when your head has experienced so much trauma that your brain becomes abnormal because it swells.
Yeah.
And they have. It's been proven, the brains of several players who have, had the same type of role. They've been examined, and it's been proven that they had the same condition when they were examined. So, it's really, really sad. I mean, we as fans, we enjoy the fights, but
not at that expense, though.
Right, but you got to realize it does come at a cost eventually.
Absolutely.
It's really, really tough on these guys. But when that's what you're expected, that's what you do, then you do it to stay in the game, to stay relevant, and that's why. So not to bring everybody down, but I wanted to bring that up. And not just because everybody else has mentioned it. You can't see it, but I'm doing air quotes. Everybody else in Caps fandom, other podcasts, etc., etc. But this guy, Stephen Peat is a part of Caps history, and that's one of the reasons why I made this podcast, was to honor that, and honor all of the guys that have worn the colors, worn the uniform, and played. And for better or for worse, he's one of those guys. And so I just wanted to bring out this story and say, look, he's having a rough time of it, and it's just sad. And in the end, I really hope that eventually he comes to understand that he might have a problem and gets the care eventually that he needs. Whether the league has something to do with it or not, that's an argument for another day. But
right.
So that's why I'm bringing that up. So we'll close with our last topic, and that is, I mentioned the Toronto game, which was an absolute delight to see, but not so much, well, in part for what happened on the ice, of course, but for what happened off the ice, of course, and that's everybody knows by now, the story of cancer survivor Alex Louis, and how he inspired the captain. And everybody's seen the video. They got together before the game, and young Alex was invited to read the starting lineup in the Caps locker room at the Air Canada Centre before the game, and the players are all cheering him on while he's doing it, and you see him in the stands cheering for every goal Ovechkin scored, and it was just an absolute delight to see. And just to review, Alex Louis is a cancer survivor. I think I didn't get his age, unfortunately. It looks to be about 12 or 13, plays midget or mite hockey. He survived cancer but lost part of his leg, had it amputated, but thank goodness for the advances in science and medical technology. He has a prosthetic that allows him to continue to play.
Good for him.
With his team. So he still plays, and apparently Alex Ovechkin read his story, and the fact that Ovechkin's also young Alex Louis' favorite player didn't hurt either. And he invited him to basically said, all right, well, next time I'm in Toronto, this is what we'll do. We'll make a day of it. And that was just wonderful to see. And I bring this up because we are still in Hockey Fights Cancer Month. And so, again, I cannot urge you enough to go to the NHL shop and or go on Twitter and follow the hashtag #CapsFightCancer. That's all one word, #CapsFightCancer. And donate whatever you can, buy whatever you can as far as merchandise to support that. So that's why I bring that up. Anna and I both have had people in our lives touched by cancer, and I'll say it again. It doesn't matter if it's breast cancer, prostate cancer, bone cancer, leukemia. Brian, I think it was Brian Boyle, who just came back to the Devils after going a round of chemotherapy. So it doesn't really matter, even if you're in 100% top of the league shape. Even cancer does not discriminate. It hits. It's going to hit people So it is definitely a cause worth fighting for. And as long as we keep up the fight, we can't lose. And so
I agree.
That's why I bring up that. I know that's a bit of a sore spot for you, Anna. So, but
it is.
I have to bring out the message.
No. I'm fine. I support it 100%, and I always will. And I will say, I think what I love so much about the Ovechkin story is that even if the media wasn't there, I feel like he is such an awesome guy. He would have done everything for that little boy regardless.
So I feel like it was 100%. It was genuine. It was heartfelt, and it was awesome. But I'm glad the media was there because I loved seeing it. I mean, that boy's face just lit up, and the hat trick, and, he's hugging his dad in the stands. It was a great story. And so, yeah, I think our players today were at, they were at Georgetown visiting some cancer patients. And it just, if you're going to make someone smile and those guys can do it, I just admire that so much more. Yeah.
Oh, very cool that they were there. And,
I think there was like 6 or 7 of them that went.
Mm-hmm. It was definitely, our media, the DC media, they were definitely behind him and praising him. And I would like to think a good chunk of the Toronto media was too, except for maybe a couple, 3, what did you call them? Douchebags? Before. I might have to bleep that out. I don't know.
Douche canoes.
But a couple of notorious fellows in the Toronto hockey media, so-called journalists, like to make light of the not even light of the situation, just put it all in a bad light, really. But we won't give them a sounding board. No. We all know.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, he didn't need to have any media spotlight around him to do this. He would have done it regardless.
Exactly.
And that's what I'm saying. That's why I admire Ovechkin. And we don't need to have it all out there. And so that's what makes, and again, I mean, and there are people who I also saw on social media that said, and this is why I love this team. Exactly. This is why I love them. Win, loss, whatever it is, you take the good with the bad. We stand by them, and always will. So, and I think it was just an amazing story and a very heartfelt story to watch and to read about. So I applaud Ovechkin for that, and Alex Louis.
And that, it was indeed absolutely great to see, and just like you said, this is one of the many reasons to love this team, not just because they're the home team, but because they give us all something to believe in, something positive to look for, and that's
right.
That's what we all want. We all want some example to live by, and I don't think there was a better example than this. Okay,
and
go ahead.
I know you're gonna close out, but we've said this a couple of times, and prior to the show, and we've never brought it up about the calendar.
Is it the calendar I'm thinking of?
What calendar are you thinking of?
The doggy calendar?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Forum's yours. Forum's yours.
No. You can't. Like, I just I'm seeing I saw the pictures before and the players and how all the proceeds for the calendar with the players and adopted dogs goes to help the shelter, and it's a no-kill shelter in the area. And we've seen Tom Wilson has done the foster parenting with a couple of dogs, which has been super sweet, and then they find good homes. And now I'm drawing a blank on the website, and I feel like such a jerk that I brought this up and I can't.
Oh, I think I can help
look
you
it up
out here.
It's not Homeward Bound. It's some.
Well, it's the okay.
Oh my
so
God.
it's the 2018 Caps Canine calendar.
Yes,
is what it is, and there actually is a link on NHL.com. Okay, so.
Homeward Bound was a movie, wasn't it?
Well, no, it's Homeward Trails Animal Rescue.
Okay, I was close.
Okay, so let me see here. Okay, so it's a limited edition calendar for 2018. They cost $20 each. All the proceeds benefit the Homeward Trails Animal Rescue Center.
Yes.
And also the MSE Foundation. So far. Okay, so this has been a thing since 2014, And so far, they have raised over $250,000 for those two
Amazing.
groups since, with these calendars, since 2014. So going on 3-4 years now, they've done this, and they've raised that much money, and that's so great. So you can get one at the team store. If you're at a game, you can get it at the team store there as well. There's also a team store at Kentler.
Yes.
Where you can.
Which I'm hoping to get, because last year I went, and the year before I went, and they were sold out.
Well,
so they do go quickly.
Yeah, they're limited, so get one fast.
Yeah, and the pictures are awesome. I mean, they're just the players are dressed up, which is sweet, but it is very awesome to see just to see what they do outside of the hockey games and stuff. And I big animal supporter on this end, so I just wanted to throw that out there, although I wasn't prepared.
No, it's fine. We're getting the message out there. That's why this is a team effort.
Yes.
So
although we dropped the gloves, but now we're friends. We're good. It's all good.
All in the name of entertainment.
There you go.
And on that uplifting note, I think we'll end the show. We've gone on for quite a long time. Mrs. Blue Liner's nodding her head at me vigorously. I'm thinking I have some chores to take care of. So we're going to sign off for now. We previewed next week, and it's been an interesting week to say the least. One thing you can't say about this team, not boring at all. So hopefully we'll get some more W's, keep the streak going, and at least get a great effort out of this team. So with that in mind, I'm going to close the show with one final Let's Go Caps.
Let's go Caps.
This has been another episode of the Power Play Point podcast. All episodes available at blueliner77.podbean.com, Apple Podcasts, and the Podbean app. Music by Joe McAllister, voiceover by Jeffrey Conkle.
His media responses are just like blah.